What if 50 cents could secretly be worth $140,000? It sounds unbelievable, but these three Australia 50-cent coins have created real auction shock. Collectors are fighting to find them while most people spend them without looking. Do not spend these coins. Imagine reaching into your pocket, grabbing a worn old 50-cent coin, paying for a cup of coffee, and unknowingly handing away something collectors would gladly pay $45,000 to own. It sounds impossible, but this is not fiction. It has happened before, and it can happen again. That's exactly why the 1977 Australia 50-cent coin has become one of those mysterious pieces that quietly slips through circulation while hiding an astonishing amount of value. At first glance, nothing about this coin screams fortune. In fact, that's exactly what makes it so dangerous to ignore. Many examples have developed a gray-yellowish appearance over decades of natural aging. Some even show scattered black spots across both the front and back surfaces. To the average person, those marks make the coin look old, dirty, and ready to spend. But experienced collectors often stop and look much closer because original aging tells a completely different story. The year 1977 was an interesting period for Australia. The country was continuing to adapt to changing economic conditions following the global financial uncertainty that had affected much of the decade. Inflation had influenced purchasing power, manufacturing costs continued to evolve, and Australia's circulating coinage remained an essential part of everyday life. Millions of Australians handled 50-cent coins every week without imagining that decades later, certain surviving examples would become highly desirable among collectors around the world. That historical moment matters because every coin becomes a small time capsule. Once these coins entered circulation, they experienced years of shopping trips, cash registers, vending machines, wallets, and pockets. Every scratch, every mark, every change in color tells part of that journey. While countless examples disappeared through damage, heavy wear, or loss, the survivors gradually became much harder to locate in collectible condition. Now take a careful look at the front of the coin, also called the obverse. You'll find the elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, facing right. Around her portrait appears the inscription identifying her, while the surrounding lettering reflects Australia's constitutional connection to the Crown during that era. Even after decades, collectors study the sharpness of her hair, the outline of the portrait, the lettering around the rim, and the overall balance of the design. Tiny differences in wear can dramatically affect collector interest. Turn the coin over to the reverse, and you'll immediately notice one of Australia's most recognizable designs, the Australian coat of arms. At the center sits the shield representing the states, supported proudly by the kangaroo on one side and the emu on the other. Above rests the Commonwealth star, while beneath the shield appears decorative native flora. Around the design, you'll find the denomination 50 and the word cents, along with the year 1977. Every letter, every line, every detail becomes important because serious collectors inspect these areas under magnification, looking for originality and overall eye appeal. What many people never realize is that this impressive-looking coin isn't made from silver at all. The 1977 Australian 50-cent coin is struck from cupronickel, an alloy consisting of approximately 75% copper and 25% nickel. That combination gives the coin exceptional durability while allowing it to survive decades in circulation. Over time, however, environmental exposure creates distinctive colors that can range from light gray to deeper yellowish tones, often accompanied by darker areas or black spotting. Those natural surfaces can actually tell collectors that the coin has remained untouched for years. Pick one up and you'll immediately notice that it feels different from many smaller coins. It carries a solid weight of approximately 15.55 grams, giving it a reassuring heft in your hand. Its diameter measures around 31.65 millimeters, making it one of Australia's larger circulating coins. The thickness is about 2.95 millimeters, while the broad reeded edge, sometimes described by collectors as the coin's girth around the rim, adds both grip and visual character. These measurements help experts confirm authenticity because every fraction of a millimeter matters during professional examination. Here's something most people miss. The absence of a mint mark is completely normal for this issue, yet collectors still examine that area carefully. Why? Because understanding what belongs on the coin is just as important as spotting something unusual. Knowing the original specifications allows experienced buyers to separate authentic pieces from altered or damaged examples. This detail changes everything when evaluating a valuable coin. Production during the late 1970s also placed enormous pressure on mint operations. Dies gradually wore down as thousands upon thousands of coins were struck. As those dies aged, tiny differences in strike quality naturally appeared. Some coins display sharper details than others, and collectors often become fascinated by those subtle variations in the shield, the animals, the lettering, and the portrait. Even without dramatic mint errors, superior strikes consistently attract stronger attention. Fast forward nearly 5 decades, and surviving examples have become increasingly difficult to locate with attractive original surfaces. Many coins were cleaned by well-meaning owners trying to make them look shiny again. Unfortunately, that single mistake permanently destroys much of a coin's collectible appeal. Once the original surface is removed, it can never truly be restored. That brings us to one of the biggest warnings in this entire video. Never clean this coin, even if it looks dull, even if it has black spots, even if it appears gray or yellowish. Leave it exactly as you found it. Collectors often prefer honest, original aging over an artificially polished surface. Those natural colors, subtle toning, and decades-old textures create authenticity that aggressive cleaning immediately destroys. What appears unattractive to one person may actually represent originality to another. Professional grading becomes absolutely critical if you believe you've found an exceptional example. Independent grading services carefully examine authenticity, preservation, surface quality, strike, wear, and eye appeal before assigning an official grade. That certification gives buyers confidence and often makes the difference between an ordinary sale and a fierce bidding contest. And those bidding contests can become surprisingly emotional. When an attractive original 1977 Australia 50-cent coin appears on the market, experienced collectors don't always rush publicly. Many quietly monitor auctions, waiting until the final moments before placing aggressive bids. Others have spent years building complete date collections and refuse to let an exceptional example slip away. Competition like that pushes prices upward because serious collectors understand one simple truth. Finding another coin with the same natural appearance can take years. Demand continues to grow while the number of desirable original examples becomes smaller every year. Coins are still being damaged, polished, scratched, or simply lost. Meanwhile, collector interest keeps expanding internationally, especially among buyers who appreciate Australia's distinctive decimal coinage. Today, an example matching the characteristics collectors seek has been associated with market values, reaching around $45,000 in the United States. That's serious money hiding inside what most people still treat as ordinary pocket change. Hidden wealth doesn't always sparkle. Sometimes it looks worn. Sometimes it looks forgotten. Sometimes it carries gray-yellowish color and black spots that cause everyone else to overlook it. So before you spend another Australian 50-cent coin, stop and inspect it carefully. Check the year first. Examine both sides under good lighting. Look closely at the original surfaces. Resist every temptation to polish it. Preserve its natural toning. If it appears promising, have it professionally graded before making any decisions. Patience has rewarded countless collectors, while rushed decisions have cost others small fortunes. Most people will never notice a coin like this. But now you know exactly why collectors do. And if you think this 1977 coin is impressive, don't go anywhere. Because the next Australia 50-cent coin on our countdown is even rarer, even more shocking, and the story behind its value is something most collectors never saw coming. What if the coin that almost nobody wants at the grocery store is actually the one collectors dream about finding? That's the trap surrounding the 1971 Australia 50-cent coin. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't look brand new. In fact, many people see its gray-yellowish color and scattered dark green spots and assume it's damaged beyond saving. Then they spend it without another thought. That simple mistake could mean watching a hidden treasure disappear forever. Do not spend this coin. Before it leaves your hand, take a closer look, because what seems ordinary today could represent a silent fortune hiding in plain sight. This is one of those fascinating coins that rewards patience instead of quick judgment. Most people glance at the date for less than a second, if they look at it at all. Collectors do the opposite. They slow down. They inspect every surface, every letter, every tiny detail, because they know the smallest characteristics can separate an everyday coin from one that commands astonishing prices. The year 1971 was an important time in Australia's modern history. The nation was experiencing economic growth while also facing changing global financial conditions that affected countries around the world. Industry continued expanding, consumer spending remained strong, and cash moved rapidly through the economy. Coins like this 50-cent piece became essential for daily transactions, passing through countless hands from city stores to rural communities. Nobody imagined that decades later, surviving examples with original surfaces would become so closely watched by serious collectors. That is part of what gives this coin its appeal today. It isn't just a piece of metal. It's a surviving witness to a different era of Australian life. Every mark tells a story of circulation, every color reflects years of natural aging, and every untouched surface reminds collectors that time cannot be reversed. Turn the coin over in your hand and begin with the obverse. You'll immediately recognize the right-facing portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. Around the portrait is the royal inscription identifying the Queen, with the words carefully arranged around the rim. Collectors often examine the hair detail, the facial outline, the lettering, and the spacing near the edge. Even in fine condition, these features reveal whether the coin has remained honest and original throughout its lifetime. Now flip to the reverse, where Australia's famous coat of arms dominates the design. The shield at the center represents the Australian states, supported proudly by the kangaroo and the emu. Above sits the 7-point Commonwealth star, while beneath appears native floral decoration. The large denomination 50 and the word cents stand boldly beside the design, with the date 1971 completing the layout. It is one of Australia's most recognizable circulating coin designs, yet collectors continue discovering beautiful original examples that have somehow escaped heavy damage. One detail often surprises new collectors. The dark green spots found on some examples immediately make people think something is wrong. In reality, naturally developed surface changes can occur over decades, as the copper within the alloy reacts slowly to environmental conditions. Combined with the gray-yellowish appearance that develops through age, these colors often create an antique character that experienced collectors find far more interesting than an unnaturally bright surface. That brings us to an important warning. Never clean this coin. Those green spots may tempt someone to polish or scrub the surface, believing they're improving its appearance. In truth, cleaning removes the original finish forever. Once that natural skin is gone, it cannot be recreated. A harshly cleaned coin may lose much of the appeal that serious collectors are willing to pay for. Original toning matters even when it isn't perfectly uniform. Physically, the 1971 Australia 50-cent coin has an unmistakable presence. It weighs approximately 15.55 grams, giving it a solid, substantial feel that stands out immediately in your palm. Its diameter measures about 31.65 millimeters, making it one of the largest regularly circulating Australian coins. The thickness is approximately 2.95 millimeters, while its broad reeded edge, often described by collectors when discussing the coin's girth around the rim, provides both durability and an instantly recognizable feel. These official measurements are carefully checked during authentication because precision matters when evaluating collectible coins. The coin is struck from cupronickel, containing roughly 75% copper and 25% nickel. That alloy was selected for its toughness and resistance to everyday wear. Even so, decades of circulation naturally leave behind subtle changes in color and texture. Rather than viewing those changes as flaws, knowledgeable collectors often see them as evidence that the coin has lived an authentic life without unnecessary interference. Unlike many modern coins, the standard 1971 Australian 50-cent issue carries no mint mark, and that is exactly how it was intended to be produced. Yet collectors still pay close attention to this fact. Understanding what belongs on the coin and what doesn't is an important part of identifying genuine examples. Small details like this separate careful collectors from casual observers. As these coins were produced for circulation, minting equipment worked continuously to meet demand. Dies gradually wore with repeated use, resulting in subtle differences in strike sharpness from coin to coin. Some examples display stronger detail in the royal portrait, while others show crisper definition in the coat of arms. These aren't dramatic varieties, but they are the kinds of characteristics experienced collectors quietly compare when selecting coins for their collections. This is where collector psychology becomes fascinating. Many collectors aren't chasing perfection alone, they're searching for originality. A fine condition coin that still carries its untouched surfaces, honest wear, and natural aging often attracts more admiration than a brighter coin that has been polished or altered. That emotional connection to authenticity is one reason demand has continued to strengthen over time. Auction rooms and online sales reveal another interesting pattern. When an especially attractive original 1971 Australia 50-cent coin appears, bidding often starts quietly. Then, almost without warning, competition intensifies. Experienced buyers know opportunities like these don't appear every day. Some collectors are completing long-term Australian decimal sets. Others simply appreciate historically important coins that still retain their natural character. As more collectors compete for fewer desirable examples, prices continue climbing. The result is simple economics. Demand rises while available original coins slowly disappear. Every year, more examples are cleaned, scratched, damaged, or spent back into circulation. Truly attractive survivors become increasingly difficult to replace, creating stronger competition whenever one reaches the market. Today, examples matching the characteristics sought by collectors have been associated with market values reaching around $60,000 in the United States. That's an extraordinary amount for a coin many people still overlook every single day. You're not just looking at 50 cents, you could be looking at serious money, hidden wealth that has quietly traveled through wallets, cash drawers, and pockets for more than half a century. So what should you do if you discover a 1971 Australia 50-cent coin? Start by checking the date carefully. Examine both the obverse and reverse under bright natural light. Notice the original color, the gray-yellowish appearance, and any naturally developed dark green spots without assuming they reduce value. Avoid touching the surfaces more than necessary. Never clean the coin, no matter how tempting it may be. Store it safely in a protective holder and consider having it professionally graded. That expert evaluation can provide confidence about authenticity, condition, and long-term market appeal. The biggest mistake people make isn't throwing these coins away, it's assuming they are ordinary. Sometimes hidden treasure doesn't shine. Sometimes it looks aged, quiet, and completely forgotten until the right collector recognizes exactly what they're seeing. That's why patience creates wealth in coin collecting, while rushing to spend old change can become an expensive regret. And if you think a potential $60,000 coin is unbelievable, wait until you see the final coin in this countdown. It is the rarest of them all, the one collectors fear they may never find again, and its story is even more astonishing. This is the coin almost everyone gets wrong. People spot a worn 1979 Australia 50-cent coin with a gray-yellowish color and dark green spots, wrinkle their nose, and toss it into a cash register without a second thought. They believe it's just another old coin that has seen better days. But somewhere else, collectors are searching through bags of change, hoping to find that exact coin with its original surfaces still untouched. That's why this final coin deserves your full attention. Do not spend this coin, because what looks ordinary today could actually be hidden wealth quietly waiting to be discovered. If you've stayed until this point, you're already ahead of most people. The vast majority never inspect their coins closely enough to notice the date. They spend them automatically, never realizing that one forgotten piece of pocket change could represent serious money. This is not fiction. It happens because valuable coins rarely announce themselves. They blend in with everything else. The story of the 1979 Australia 50-cent coin begins during a period when Australia was adjusting to changing economic conditions at the end of the 1970s. Rising prices, shifting global markets, and continued economic development shaped everyday life across the country. Cash remained the backbone of daily commerce, and 50-cent coins changed hands countless times every single day. Millions entered circulation to keep businesses moving, but every trip through pockets, purses, and tills reduced the number of attractive original survivors. That passage of time is exactly what makes this coin fascinating today. Collectors aren't simply buying metal. They're preserving a genuine piece of Australian history that has survived for decades without losing its identity. Every untouched surface, every naturally aged tone, and every honest sign of circulation tells a story that cannot be recreated. Start with the obverse, where you'll find the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II facing to the right. Encircling the portrait is the royal inscription identifying the Queen. Although many examples show circulation wear in fine condition, collectors carefully inspect the portrait's hair details, facial features, lettering, and rim. These small characteristics help reveal how well the coin has survived over nearly half a century. Now turn to the reverse, and Australia's iconic coat of arms immediately commands attention. The central shield symbolizes the Australian states, proudly supported by the kangaroo and the emu. Above rests the Commonwealth Star, while native floral elements complete the design beneath. Alongside appears the large denomination 50, with the word cents, while the date 1979 reminds collectors exactly when this remarkable coin entered circulation. Every line, every letter, and every design element is examined closely because originality matters. One of the first things you'll probably notice is the unusual appearance of many surviving examples. Instead of bright silver-colored metal, they often display a soft gray-yellowish tone accompanied by scattered dark green spots across both the obverse and reverse. To an inexperienced eye, that may seem unattractive. To seasoned collectors, however, those natural changes can be evidence that the coin has remained untouched for decades. Those colors develop naturally over time because the coin is struck from cupronickel, an alloy made from approximately 75% copper and 25% nickel. As years pass, environmental exposure slowly affects the surface, producing distinctive aging that gives each coin its own personality. Original toning has become one of the qualities many collectors appreciate most because it reflects authenticity instead of artificial improvement. And that's why one warning can never be repeated enough. Never clean this coin. Cleaning may remove the very originality collectors are searching for. Scrubbing away the gray-yellowish color or attempting to eliminate the dark green spots permanently changes the surface. Once the original finish disappears, it can never truly be restored. Many valuable coins have lost significant collector appeal because someone believed making them shiny would increase their worth. In reality, the opposite is often true. Hold the 1979 Australia 50-cent coin in your hand, and you'll immediately notice its impressive size. It weighs approximately 15.55 grams, giving it a substantial feel compared to smaller circulating coins. Its diameter measures around 31.65 millimeters, making it easy to recognize even before reading the date. The coin has a thickness of about 2.95 millimeters, while its broad reeded edge, often described when discussing the coin's girth around the rim, provides a firm grip and distinctive appearance. These official specifications are carefully checked during authentication because accuracy is essential for serious collectors. Another important detail often overlooked by beginners is the mint mark, or rather, the lack of one. The standard 1979 Australia 50-cent coin was issued without a mint mark, exactly as intended. Experienced collectors understand this and inspect every area carefully to confirm the coin matches official specifications. Knowing what should be present is just as valuable as recognizing something unusual. Producing millions of circulating coins also placed continuous demands on mint equipment. As dies struck coin after coin, they naturally experienced wear. Some 1,979 examples display sharper details than others, depending on the condition of the dies at the moment they were struck. While these are not rare error varieties, collectors still compare strike quality, lettering sharpness, and design definition when selecting the finest original examples. Here's something many people never consider. Finding one of these coins is only half the challenge. Finding one that has survived decades without harsh cleaning, polishing, deep scratches, or careless damage is becoming increasingly difficult. Every year, more original examples disappear from the collector market. Some remain hidden in old jars and forgotten collections. Others continue circulating unnoticed, gradually wearing down with every transaction. That shrinking supply makes attractive survivors far more desirable than many people realize. Collector demand reflects this growing scarcity. Auctions often begin quietly, but once knowledgeable buyers recognize an original fine-condition example with appealing natural surfaces, the competition can change almost instantly. Some collectors have waited years to upgrade their collections. Others refuse to sell once they finally obtain a pleasing 1,979 coin because replacing it later may prove far more difficult. That combination of increasing demand and decreasing supply is exactly why interest continues growing. Today, examples matching the characteristics collectors seek have been associated with market values reaching around $35,000 in the United States. Think about that for a moment. A coin with a face value of just 50 cents can represent a life-changing opportunity when preserved correctly. That's hidden wealth in its purest form, a silent fortune traveling unnoticed through everyday circulation while people unknowingly spend it on ordinary purchases. So if a 1,979 Australia 50-cent coin lands in your hand, don't rush to spend it. First, check the date carefully. Examine both sides under good lighting. Look for natural gray-yellowish toning and dark green spots that have developed over decades. Resist the urge to polish or clean it. Preserve those original surfaces exactly as they are. Store the coin safely in a protective holder, and if you believe it has strong collector appeal, seek professional grading. An expert evaluation provides confidence in its authenticity and condition while helping protect its long-term value. The greatest fortunes in coin collecting are often discovered by people who pay attention when everyone else walks away. Patience creates opportunities. Careless spending destroys them. So the next time someone hands you an ordinary-looking Australian 50-cent coin, don't judge it by its appearance alone. Because hidden treasure doesn't always shine. Sometimes, it looks exactly like the coin everyone else is willing to spend.